Okay, I left things off a bit abruptly last time and no longer remember what I was doing, so that's super helpful. I think this was new information though, so let's press it, I guess.
Hold it!
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then, when I saw this swell getting on, I got my head down, so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGill had sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah, would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mug. So that all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up, because if the door never opened, then how did the other guy get in? At least I somehow remember what we were doing. Miss Lestrade, what you've just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. Ah, at odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Ziek's realised it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. But think, Rinosuke, think! There's something else she should have heard. A person, because it will be the other guy getting in. This might be a really hacking long episode. I've only put this case into 2 episodes so far rather than 3. I think, since we're in stage 3, it's gotta be about to end soon, hasn't it? But, yeah, anyway, very well, my lord, allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. Sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person.
Take that!
Thrice-fired mason. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't travelling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door open or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah! We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah! Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Ziek's? Yes? He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's testimony. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colourful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. Ugh, she didn't even say anything. I didn't once judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I. Mr. Foreman, I didn't once judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. Great! Ugh. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Yeah, same. What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless... Yeah. This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going... I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know that we must accept hard truths. Isn't that what she said last time she changed verdict?
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel! I'm sorry, sir? Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my education. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? The skylight, I guess? Surely it would have been a lot harder to murder someone on the skylight, on the roof though. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. Ooh. He was put there after he died? The music didn't stop, which is alarming. Obviously the victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed. Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that obviously in your last sentence? Well said, Lord Van Zeeks. The obviously is troubling me also. No, that's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been moved into the carriage afterwards. Then answer me this. How could a cadaver have been placed inside a moving carriage? Well, obviously, Oh yeah, I saw that coming. I must learn to ramble more relevantly. Oh, I love that. Casually skip and go over some of this. I do wonder if, can this be opened from the outside? Okay, it's not telling us, that's helpful. Well, I guess we could try he was in there already, but...
Objection!
Okay, should have gone with my gut. Yeah, well... I love that this is literally the same dialogue, but with obviously and clearly swapped out. Were they even trying? And because it technically counts as new dialogue, I can't even skip through it quickly. Love it when that happens. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, the other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But that could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However...
Objection!
The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brain theory? The blood on the floor, I guess? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact. Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, The passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGill did. To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified afore said none of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that is not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. It is a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? What are we meant to be getting through with this? Well, I guess they could be the murderers, yeah, but I don't know why they would be. Oh, hello. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotter, he said. You rotter. What are you insinuating? Oh, that's a new animation. This is a flaming outrage. I've a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. I'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and a well-respected banker, and me, a very angry hatter. A mad hatter, you could say. Suggesting someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zeeks. It was the defence that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Well, technically that wasn't us, that was... Mr. McGill did. Accuse? I never intended to... It seems, young man, that your command of the English tongue is wanting, whatever. You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Call them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Wild. What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? I really don't know. The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the defence. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do now is keeping pushing forward. That's not great grammar there, game, but okay. We were the only two people up on that roof deck, dead or alive. I can swear to that. If anything had happened while we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? In any case, neither of us knew the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? I must say that on listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine how either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck without the other noticing forthwith. That's right, you see. We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another. What? Eh? According to investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings. I'm convinced he's not looking at the scroll during that. Did he just bring the scroll for dramatic effect? Because there's no way he's not staring up at the ceiling or something. Huh? Well, I don't trust coppers anymore, and I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favour, really. So why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defence, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord.
Hold it!
So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck? Absolutely not, Dickon. No question about it, you said. None at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here. Is this true, Mr. McGilded? Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately. That's an outright lie. Without doubt you were engaged in... Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? Ah. It is all about evidence in the courts these days, so it is. You'd do well to remember that. I saw you with my own eyes. This is going so well. Isn't it just? Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark. Perhaps too dark to see clearly? Is this some kind of lark? Is this some kind of a joke, he said. Is that what this is? Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly? Are you fair dinkum, sir? Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you. I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you'd never open them again. That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies and I didn't hear you at all. That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. No, it was a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising. Seeing things? Seeing things? I believe we've reached an impasse here on this particular point. Oh, you. Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm a suspect in this case, then it's only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really. So, you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before? Oh, Lummy, no, not once, never. He never met the man before, he said. Never. And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either? That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir. No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentleman who are inside the cabin. Hello.
Excuse me.
And we already know that he has a connection to Mr. McGilded. Yes, Counsel? What can I be doing you for? Did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow? Not the remotest connection. Is that right now? I wonder. What are you insinuating now? Ah, Mr. Fairplay, it has been too long, so it has. Eh? If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not? Your repayment date. I beg your pardon. Dude, we literally went over this earlier. You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir. At an unconscionable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion. Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off on another. Ugh. And young Mr. First. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That top hat sliding about on your head. Is that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, it is a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers. Such as Thrice-Fired Mason. Okay, my capture card and subsequently my laptop crashed. I'm back now. I can't help thinking that the poor fella's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh. Well, it has the stitches in it, but I don't see any other particular reason. That's one of my hats. Aye, that it is. So it would seem that the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer, I'd wager, you could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case. You little weasel. Ugh. He's better at this than I am. Yeah, seriously. Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let my little interruption hold up the proceedings. Scarlet was shut the entire time. Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time? I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute. He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said. Take a look for yourself. Go on. Okay, there is a catch on this side though. You see, it's shut fast now, just like it was on the night. So it is, of course. A fella the size of Mr. Mason could likely break right through it, still and all. What? Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand? Ugh, now you hold on there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the big picture here, shall we? Let's stop biting our cane, shall we? I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind, loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens. And we're being told this why? This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First. Oh, I just mean to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see. But just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as a rogue, I did. That should probably have been as red as rouge, but I can't read. Are you expecting me to sentence you? Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was inside that cabin of shame. Yeah, it can't be opened from the inside, but...
Excuse me!
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade? It opens. The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right? All them skylights open. Dead easy. More easily than you can load that weapon. That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from inside, you mug. Oh. Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I mean, I had purses coming out my ears. Mr. Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogising on the subject of your criminal activities. Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. So what I did was, I used the skylight, opened the catch and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin. The skylight opens from the roof deck. Bailiff, climb up onto the roof of the omnibus at once and verify this witness's claims. Thank you, invisible bailiff. Ah! Oh, my hat! See? So, it appears that the street girl's statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens. And from the roof deck. Mr. Naruhodo! This could be the clue we've been looking for. Well, counsel for the defence, please continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself. Alright then. So the skylight was fastened shut before, but now the catch has been undone, we should be able to open it. You can certainly see inside. I don't know that it really helps me that I can see in if it won't let me go on the top-down view. Because all I can think is the fact that the bloodstain on the floor is directly beneath the skylight. But, yeah, it's not very obvious. No comment on that, okay. That's blood, isn't it? That's the thing from before. Great. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof?
Hold it!
Proof. That's right, I demand to hear it. We came here to say what we saw, I tell you, not for this. But you call us both shizers, brand us as criminals. You call us liars, that's what he means, and accuse us of doing it. As it stands at the moment, there's no hard evidence that incriminates yourselves now, is there? I believe we're in much the same position as one another here. Ugh. If I don't crack this case soon, he'll crack his teeth. I wonder if these two men really were involved in some way. I couldn't say. I mean, I don't really know anything about them, do I? Although by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGilded either. It's so hard to know what to believe here. I think we should try to remember that it's evidence alone that can truly determine the outcome of a trial. Evidence. No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury. So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, precisely. We were the only two people up on... Okay, so we've done everything now. Didn't mean to skip past that. Do-do-do-do-ba-dip-ba-boo. I mean, based on what's been happening here, they seem to imply that it's going to be to do with the carriage. My only guess is...
Objection!
Oh dear. Because I really have no idea at this point. Okay, I have no idea. I'm looking this up. Well, I was today years old when I found out that you could go backwards in the testimony, but that's not the point right now. The point is, thanks to the guide, I apparently missed something. Gosh, the angles on this are awful low. Seriously, how am I supposed to see what is going on? I can't see it at all. I meant to be looking for something on the skylight, but it gives us such a rubbish view of it. Is it on the inside, maybe? Oh, there we go, okay. Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Well, I didn't have to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. Why someone like me? Ah! What is it? Look, just here, look at this! That's, without question, it's blood. Why would there be a bloodstain there? Surely, it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? I very much hope not. How many disasters have been happening here? But yeah, kind of hate that. It was really difficult to see. And I did present it at the right time, apparently. So, yay to that. Here we go again.
Objection!
Love it when you do the exact same thing again and get the different results just because you managed to find something very difficult to see. Anyway, I'll stop being bitter now. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach. And immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug. Ugh, you can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible. Irrefutable proof. Here in this courtroom. Counsel? My lord? I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here, Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? Pointed out. At least I know where it is this time.
Got it!
By Jupiter, is that blood? Ugh. This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No!
Hold it!
But the blood could have sprayed up there from where the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin. And only found its way up to that one particular spot on the skylight. Sure, and that would be very convenient. And let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But... There's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gent really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? Yeah, the bloodstain is beneath it. It is all too plain, if you see. I don't like that he's the one pointing this out, though. Especially since I've known for, like, I don't know, half an hour. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height right there, so it is. What? No. But it can't be. It's all lies.
Hold it!
My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, yes, sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they? I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On three then, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Objection!
A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zeeks? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight. Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? Did they change the evidence again? It's there for all to see, and it's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute surety, no such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least not until this trial began. But, are you suggesting, Lord Van Zeeks, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes, and while this court has been in session. What? That's a lot to pull off in the short amount of time we have with the smoke bomb, though. Yeah, what a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zeeks. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realise that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. I mean, I was kind of guessing from the first time we ever saw Mr. McGilded that he's kind of shady. This actually wouldn't surprise me in this case, but I don't know what to do with that. Tut-tut, Lord Van Zeeks. This will not do, to be sure. Will it now, Counsel? Oh, no. I think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But if yous will all cast your minds back, is it not true that omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, Counsel? It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time the court's been in session. My friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think... I mean, technically it could have been possible. We've already seen that the stuff moved from the bus. I might save before I answer this, though. If I can remember which slot I'm in. I'm gonna say it could have been possible, because I don't think that we're a liar in this case. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best as I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There is no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility. Oh! Good gracious. Explain yourself, Counsel. Yes, there is. It seems my learned friend has no intention of running from this deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. That was a great dramatic turn he just did. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, you rotten feckless gouger? Feckless gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. There's a wicked plot. There's a plot to undermine me, so it is.
Objection!
Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies such as... To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. I wish we could have double-checked that one, because I know that the stuff under the seat is definitely true, but I can't confirm this. Unfortunately, Lord Van Zieks, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say, we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord, no doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things. What do you think? Sorry? About the omnibus? Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? I mean, other than the fact it has Phoenix Wright's name on it, that's pretty unusual. As Sky said, did his parents name him after a bus? I really don't know. I presume they wouldn't have given us this option if it hadn't been a thing. My lord. Yes, counsel? There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What? What in the devil's name are you going to say now? If you dare to betray me, you little maggot, you'd better start watching your back.
Objection!
Silence, McGilded. The court awaits the defence's clarification. Ugh. This trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. I have no idea what's the truth and what's deception. Me neither, mate. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is this alleged mark you claim appeared at some point during the trial? That's actually an excellent question. I really do not know. You know what, clearly I have no idea, so back to the guide. Okay. It is what I thought it was, but I messed up and didn't put the cursor all the way over.
Got it!
I guessed that because Van Zieks said earlier, or rather they said when we were examining it earlier, that Van Zieks hadn't brought up the bloodstain on the floor. So I presume that'll be why. If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Oh, that's interesting. I don't remember that. Good lord. Yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel. So is this going to turn out to have been a test by the Lord Justice, who's like, well, you could have got this guy a not guilty verdict, and it wouldn't have been that difficult in the end, but you chose to pursue the truth, and therefore I'm going to make you a lawyer. That's my prediction. Well said. Although, as advocate for the defence, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Ooh, we angered him. This trial is over. Mr. McGilded? I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it is all over now. But you're the defendant. It is over, I tell ye. memory, recollection, what people think they saw. It is all a nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there, now. Well. And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper at the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. He makes a point. I'm scandalised, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zeeks. Well, my lord? Are we poking the bear? I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence. And in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Zeeks, what is your position? Prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am, of course, obliged to confirm with the defence first. What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilded will be found not guilty. Yes. Which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now, with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counts for the defence. Your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord. The defence believes. Ooh. Ooh, save point. I find one of these options much more interesting than the other, and it's this one. I'm here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defence of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in all good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there's also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent. Good gracious me! Order! This is unprecedented behaviour, counsel. A defence lawyer calling the accused innocence into question? Are you of sound mind? Oh, it was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was. A grand decision. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Ah. Your job here is done, fella. And some fine work you've done, so you have. But what do you mean? It's just as the right honourable gentleman so succinctly put it at 4. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than the formality. I really don't know what to make of all this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. The stinking rich are always guilty of something. Mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park. Now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court.
Objection!
But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zeeks. My lord. The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord.
Objection!
But wait! When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zeeks ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair! The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What? Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defence. Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time? Kinda feels that way. Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. That's what we're gonna do, isn't it? Magnus McGilded. Good grief, you've more to say to me, have you? Just one thing. A warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded, not guilty. Oh, that's kind of fascinating. Oh, it's confetti over in England. Good to know we started it. Oh, and we get fireworks. I'm sure that's not a risk at all. Well, I can see why people were conflicted by this ending. Can't believe it. This is an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent. Well then. With the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day, the judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us. Yeah, ostensibly. Was it though? Was it really? Kinda not sure that it was. Yeah, that was a very interesting way to end this case. Not since Ace Attorney 2 have we had something with such a questionable story behind the defendant. Yeah. Well, we're a lawyer now. That certainly was a long trial. It was. I know I said earlier I was going to keep it in 2 parts, but I'm going to have to extend it to 3, looking at the time I've been recorded. So, good to know that we have a sort of average time. Ah, yes, it was. I do wonder if it's going to get a lot longer when the cases are both investigation and court, or if it's just going to be the same and have less of everything. Your first ever trial on foreign soil and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Mrs. Zato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Yeah, that's the part that bothers me more. I wouldn't be as bothered by having a guilty defendant, I just don't really love the ambiguity. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. Having seen what we've seen, I would be inclined to say it was Mr. McGilded. That's what I'm going with on the matter. The sole aim of the defence is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Mr. McGilded. Oh, and that girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh, what stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off when there's a verdict of not guilty. I'm sure you must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yeah, as someone who has had to look at a lot of modern-day health and safety paperwork, kind of bothers me. Yes, definitely. I heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I've you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man, then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. Bet you're young and headstrong. Ah, 'tis water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? Aye? They've all seen that I didn't do that odious and obstinate deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellas of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get to the truth. I've absolute faith in them, so I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. Honestly, the most unlikely thing in this case is a rich person actually paying their taxes, frankly. It's not that funny. So then, as we agreed beforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. Ah, be whist, you're humble people, are you, from the east? Well, if you insist. But have this, still and all. You deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir, if you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. Just time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. They're going to examine it again? Now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing my best to help where I can. I wonder if double jeopardy is a thing in this. Because based on my admittedly very limited understanding of the law, I only know this because of Ace Attorney fanfiction, so it could well be incorrect, but isn't double jeopardy a thing where you can't be tried for the same crime twice? So even if they did find evidence that it was falsified, he now couldn't be tried again because he's already been found innocent. I don't know if that is a real thing, or if it was a real thing at that point. Future Aurora, time for another history deep dive, I guess. I know you love me, sorry, from past CA. But, yeah. Kinda sucks that they're sorting it out exactly after court ended, if that's the case. Just a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. It was an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. I wonder if he'll ever turn up again. And there he goes, a free man. Oh, hey, Gina. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Please don't shoot me. don't move. Or as I want to say, get a move on. She really does take forever to load that thing. Why is that a bad thing, Ryunosuke? Why is that a bad thing? She's going to shoot you with it. Mr. Strad, would you mind putting that thing down? You're a grown-up. Sorry. And I hate all grown-ups. Ah, there you are. Ah, hello. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now? You're taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Huh. Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Ugh. Excuse me, but who are you? Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, white, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could at least be a pretty colour, I thought to myself. Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment whilst I was changing onto a different omnibus, and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. Tell her what's it what? I have no idea what this girl is talking about. Anyway, you're coming with me now, back to my laboratory. What? What for? To apologise, of course, silly. To my technician. What? You mean, say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? Humph. I don't listen to no adults. Come along then, follow me. Well, she's certainly not an adult. Fine, have it your way. Oh, good. You see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that what she wants is to not get shot by that massive gun of yours. Interesting that there does in fact seem to be zero relevance to Lestrad's name. Well, now we know, I guess. We'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye. I'm so sorry for all the fuss. She was a lively one. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too? Yes, you're right, but... where to? Oh! We haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All our travelling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings. But at this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to the worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of Gilded Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, did the whole exchange program not come with accommodation? Because that seems like a bit of an oversight. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilded down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room, or mansion. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead. Just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned, the case was far from over. See, that intrigues me. I don't particularly mind the ambiguous ending because it seems like it's going to go somewhere else. We'll check back in again if it doesn't.
What's going on?
Get the fire brigade!
Water! Bring water, quick! What the... How did this happen?
I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
Oh, I have an
No
idea.
one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating. No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there.
This can't be.
Yeah, it's not great. Also, are you gonna get the person out, or just stand there? Also, is it just me, or is this judge giving major Santa Claus vibes with the red outfit? Oh, okay, that's the end. Care to explain? The Realm of the Reaper, I wonder if that means that it's McGilded stuck inside, and he was cursed because, you know, Reaper things. But, yeah, that was certainly a thing that happened. Huh. I definitely hope that we get more information on that at some point, because if not, I will be sad. But for now, I think we've reached the end of this episode, so thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye!